Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Afterbirth podcast. Today, I have a self proclaimed boy mom, the boy mom to know. I'm with Payal. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I mean, I had to. Who wouldn't want you on their podcast right now in the times that we're in?
In the times.
Babe, you're a voice.
Thank you.
You are, I mean, as you put it, a revolutionary. And what you're doing is a revolutionary act. So
Mhm.
I can't wait to get deeper into it
Yes.
and talk all things patriarchy and
Yes.
dismantle it. We are actually going to dismantle it on this podcast right now.
Let's do it.
Like we'll fix everything.
Because it is in the hands of, I wouldn't just say boy moms, but parents that are raising boys
Absolutely.
and anybody who has influence over the life of boys.
Yeah.
And that's educators
Yeah.
too. Across the board, we just need to have more focus on what we can do to help boys become men,
Absolutely.
period.
And I think also, to your point, it just really does start with first naming I mean, there are several problems,
Hmm.
right? With all those aspects that you just mentioned, but like naming the problem, ones that we have immediate access to, and
Yeah.
then beginning to deconstruct and then build up from there. So
Yeah.
I really think that's why I really respect your work
Yeah.
across the board because I mean, you're sharing family, you're sharing
Hmm.
womanhood, you're sharing motherhood, but you do have that specific focus on raising boys and what that means. It's
Yeah.
not like just get them from bringing them home from that first day
Hmm.
to okay 16 you're up
Right.
you're almost out of here 18 out of here. It is a
Yeah.
very complex thing. So
It truly
yeah,
is.
how did you start on this journey to sharing how
Well,
you raise boys?
yeah, and it takes so much intention, and I just wanna state really quickly, like, naming the problem can be so tricky
Mm,
because there are a lot of people who will tell you that you have no business naming the problem. So I've gotten so many comments where it's like, "You have no business talking about masculinity because you're not a
you're not.
man." But
Hmm.
I'm raising 2 boys, and I also have so many I have interactions with men, and so
We
why
do exist in the
I
same world. We do know how it feels to be on
I
the
should
receiving
yes,
end
we
of
have our
mhm.
voice matters
Yeah,
in naming that problem and then looking for solutions,
yeah,
specifically when we are raising boys.
absolutely.
But the way that I got into it, first of all, I did have gender disappointment with both of my boys, and that's
Mm,
something that I had to work through. And I've actually found in sharing that transparently, a lot of women struggle with that gender disappointment. It's
wow.
a very
Mhm,
valid feeling. And I think what, for me, what it kind of came down to is this feeling of inadequacy
mhm,
in raising boys.
mhm.
And I worried that I was not going to be able to have a
Mm,
really strong connection, relationship, and bond with them. So there were biases that
yeah,
I held
yeah.
about boys.
Kind of
Things
the echo of what you're being told. Like,
exactly.
you won't know how to raise boys, you have no business, and it's kind of already in the back of our heads a little.
You
Like
internalize
yeah,
it. And
mhm,
so I internalized it. I also grew up with 2 sisters. I lean way more feminine into my
mhm,
feminine side. And so I was like, what am I going to do
yeah,
with boys? And so I had all these preconceptions about them. Regardless of I taught for 16 years and I recently resigned, but I had so many
yeah,
interactions with young men, with adolescents ranging from 6th to ninth grade. And so I knew that there is no one way that
yeah.
a boy presents. However, when I was pregnant, I did have gender disappointment. And now, I look back on that and I think to myself, like, you cultivate the relationships with
Mhm.
your children. And I have beautiful bonds with my boys that
Me
are
too.
just continuously growing.
Yeah.
And so I love sharing that for anyone who has experienced gender disappointment. But the way that I really came onto the content was jumping on the Dusty Sun trend.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you're familiar with what the trend looked like. That was, like, standing on social media before I kinda switched
Switch
the
it on its head.
narrative.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, I flipped the script on
Yeah.
it. It was moms who were showing up, and they were, like, pictured with a boy, with their son, teaching my son to cook so that your dusty daughter's Stouffer's lasagna doesn't
Yeah.
impress
Yeah.
him. And I just saw this, and it was, like, trending. There were
I
multiples
mean,
of these.
it was
It was
it was
happening.
everywhere for sure.
I was like, "What are we doing?"
Mhm.
Like, first of all, we're supposed to be the generation that gets to break these toxic cycles. We get to rewrite the narrative, but then I see peers of mine, mothers who are, raising boys who are in the same generation
Yeah.
as me,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're just
But
perpetuating the
it's
same.
so much easier to do that than confront
Mhm.
the change that needs to happen.
Yeah,
So, of
so
course,
misogynistic,
and then we
right?
put in a trend and a catchy little thing, and then
And it's cute.
the damage
And then
continues.
like that,
Mhm.
when we talk about the term boy mom, it's
Even
so
that.
stigmatized.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm trying to debunk it. Like I'm trying to dismantle that and say that let's reclaim what it means to
To
be
be
a
a boy
boy mom.
mom. Yeah.
And that's why I like double down on using that term. Like I came out with merch earlier this year and it's like
Yeah.
boy mom club.
Yep.
Because you know what? Let's be proud about the boy moms that we are. We're the feminist kind. We're
Yeah.
the ones who are instilling in our children empathy and giving them space to be and all the things that is the
Recognize
revolution.
again the complexity of what it means
Yes,
to one be a boy mom and what it is being a boy growing in this society, in this
exactly.
current society. No, like I was so intentional of introducing you as a
Hmm.
boy mom because
Yeah. And I
I
appreciate
of
that.
course, I mean I absolutely agree with that. When we do hear it's like a
Yeah.
quick like the type, the stereotype of a boy
Hmm.
mom right now and because of those viral trends and
Yeah.
in the
It's like ick.
perpetuation of it, it
Yeah.
is an ick for sure, but
Hmm.
we do need to like
Yeah.
to reclaim it. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
That is exactly what I'm working to do. Um, and so I jumped on that trend. It was like with the help of my sister who also has a
Mhm.
9-year-old boy. And I was like, I want to do this, but we got to change this up. Like, how do I flip it? So she was like, do a video where you're teaching my son to clean up after himself
Yeah,
so that your daughter doesn't spend a lifetime catering to
yeah.
a man.
And
And
notice
that
how you didn't, like,
wording,
put anyone down in that one. It wasn't
no,
like your dusty daughter versus,
no,
"Hey, so
because
this is how it's going to help keep a family together or keep
sure.
community together." So I thought even that point of it was,
Hmm.
like, perfection. It didn't rely on putting one gender down
No, and
to
I
boost
didn't
the
wanna
other.
do that because I'm thinking to myself, like, this hypothetical partner of my son, who I don't even know who this person
Oh,
is,
wow.
how would I already have negative feelings about them? And there's a lot of dynamics also of, like, entering a family, being a daughter-in-law, not in my culture
Yeah.
specifically, South Asian culture, like, not measuring
Yep.
up and feeling inadequate, in serving a
Mhm.
man and
Mhm.
his family and that sort of rhetoric, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, it just, like, irked me." So, we switched it. That video, that one went, like, mega viral,
Super
and it was,
duper,
like,
yeah.
and I was actually shocked because at this point in content creation and, like, I was teaching at the same time, like, I
Mhm.
I was just jumping on
Doing a
trends.
little
Like,
quick
I
thing.
was playing
Mhm.
around. I do fashion, I do beauty. I was, like, dipping into all my niches, motherhood, and so I was like, we'll do a trend. It'll be
Mhm.
fun." And then this went viral, like, overnight. And I was like, there's something here.
Yeah.
And my husband and I share a very specific, I guess, approach to parenting and our boys. And it's very reliant on like the type of man that he is too. Like he's very in touch with his emotions.
Mhm.
It's what I love about him.
Mhm.
It's also the thing that he has been told by men in his life that like he needs to change.
Mm.
Like what you're so emotional, you're sensitive.
Yeah.
Like his friends have told me that, have used those words. He's overly sensitive. And I'm like,
Oh, because he's
you're
able
not
to
his
name a
people then.
feeling? I
And
don't know,
that
yeah.
is what has brought like, that's what I love about
Yeah,
him, and that's the thing I would never change about him, so I was very perturbed by the fact that, like, people in his life would tell him to be different.
yeah.
Uh
Tone it down, change it up,
exactly, and
yeah.
he never did. He was like,
That's
no,
great,
I'm gonna
mhm.
be me," and that's who he shows up as, for the boys, and it has such an impact.
Because it literally starts at
Mhm.
home, but, I'm so glad you brought up the cultural aspect of it.
Yeah.
You are of Southeast Asian descent, I
Yeah.
am Haitian, Caribbean.
There's a lot
We
of
a
overlap,
lot of
right?
overlap, and specifically, speaking of what we're talking about here, it is men are the prize.
Mhm.
I
They are
have a
the
younger
prize.
brother, and you say you have I have a younger brother, and the standard is
Yeah.
so different. The things I would say that I was, never allowed to get away with, I wouldn't even think of
Sure.
it, you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
like when the boys come along, they're kinda just left to
Yeah.
their own devices, they can do whatever, they can do no wrong almost,
Mhm.
and then we're just brought up to, failure is not your option as a
No.
woman, as a girl.
Nope.
Figuring it out is all on you, and if you don't
Mhm.
figure it out, somehow that's your fault and not your parents' fault, but
Yeah.
boys don't have that whatsoever. So, what
Right.
was your I think it's amazing that your husband is even,
Mhm.
aligned with the way that you're raising the boys now or how I would assume you've always been.
Yeah.
But what has your culture, how has it impacted the way you are now,
Yeah.
raising your sons together?
Yeah, so his upbringing, I think, is a little atypical.
Mm.
His mom, really had so he has an older brother, and his mom just, tasked them with stuff around the
Oh,
house, from the get. They were business owners, and
okay.
so they weren't home all the time, and, she told I asked her kinda recently, I was like, "What did you do differently?" Because clearly, these
Some
boys are
worked here.
different
Yeah.
than, a lot of men,
Mhm.
and so when I talk about men, I'm not talking about my husband
Yeah.
because but I am talking about the patriarchy and what I have observed and even in my own upbringing.
Yeah.
Um, and she was like, well, I wasn't gonna clean the whole house on a Saturday. Why would I do that? I
Love it, Mom.
I was like, I love that. I
We
love
love
that.
that.
And so she was like, every Saturday, we had a task list.
Mhm.
Everybody had to jump in. I'm not gonna do it all.
Mhm.
And she had that mindset, and I loved that because I think that that's exactly what it was
Yeah.
that um gave them the ability to take control, to be to learn how to just do those domestic tasks, and lean into that, and because there was no option.
Mhm.
And even folding their laundry or cleaning up their room or stuff like that, they were tasked to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think again, I mean,
Yeah,
it just over and over and over again, it just shows how much it starts in the home,
it does.
in the way
Yeah,
you raise your son and how that literally impacts the entirety of society.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
just the little things that you could do in your home or and the things that you don't do in your home
Mhm.
and the widespread effect that
Yeah,
has. So, I mean, I just again, I could go all day with the way you
sure.
guys do this, but I mean, so the criticism, I feel like if
Yeah.
I, go on your page at any given my God,
Woo.
at any given moment, it
Mhm.
is just the biggest
Yeah,
trigger for
it really is.
so many parents. So I mean, you've had just naming one
Mhm.
video, you've had this amazingly viral video. You and your youngest are just dilly dallying, dabbing in a
Having a
little
good
nail
time.
polish, just whatever,
Enjoying.
just
Yeah.
enjoying literally
Yeah.
existing. And the amount of vitriol
Yeah.
that video has brought on and continues to bring,
Mhm.
why do you think that simple
Yeah.
moment of just existing with your son has
Mhm.
triggered so much disgusting
Yeah.
behavior and people? Sorry, said
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely. I think that there's a lot that goes into that, and I think that men who are looking to protect boys,
Mm.
they are oftentimes, and so I'm trying to I always try to look at yes,
Perspectives.
there's vitriol, but then there are people who just are like, that's not for me. I don't like that.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the middle, right? Where you're like, okay, I can have a conversation with you.
Yep.
The vitriolic content comments and the hate and the slander and
Yeah.
you're turning him gay. I don't want anything to do with that. We're just
We don't even address
I don't know
that.
why you're here
Yeah.
because clearly you don't agree with me and I'm not going to agree with you. But there are people who are sort of in the middle. I'll give you an example. Women will come to me and be like, my son asked to paint his nails and we did it. And then my husband got very upset
Mm.
and we had to have a conversation. And I don't know how to handle this because my heart's sinking. And I'm like, okay, well, I think where that's coming from is that your husband has this lived experience
Yep.
of being a boy and boy world is tough.
Yeah.
Boys are confined to rules.
Yep.
They are boxed in. As much as we have gender essentializing language for girls, saying that girls can be and do what and break free of
Yeah.
the gender essentializing dialogue.
Yeah.
Boys can't.
They cannot. They don't have that. I
There's
mean,
a
from
certain
diapers. There are trucks on their diapers.
exactly.
This is what you must follow.
This is what you
Mhm.
must like and this is what you will not
Yeah.
like. And I've come to find that there's a lot of boys who actually love rainbows and sparkles and why would you not? Because it's bright
Hello,
colors
yeah.
and they want to wear dresses and they want to do all that and but they're told oftentimes no, you can't. No,
Yeah.
you can't. And so when Dev, my younger one, asked to paint nails, I remember the moment he asked to paint nails, and I shot a look over to my husband because I just
Like a quick
this didn't come up. This
Mhm.
is stuff you don't talk about
Mhm.
when you're dating
Yeah.
or getting married. You don't
How will
know.
we handle when our boy
When our
asks to
younger
wear
son
nails?
asked, yes, it doesn't come up.
Yeah.
So I shot a look over to him, and he was like, "Oh my god, yes, you guys should go to the salon. That'll be so fun. You should go. That'll be great." And I think where he was coming from is that he is always trying to, like, help me nurture bonds
Yeah.
with the boys, and because he knows about my gender disappointment, and
Mhm.
so he's like,
This is a
"I
moment.
want
You guys
this
can
is
get
a
together. Yeah, yeah,
moment,
yeah.
like, I want you guys to have that. I
Mhm.
love that for you." And
Mhm.
so he was like, "Yes, that's amazing." And so we did it, and then Dev's joy was just it was impalpable. Like, you could just, like,
Yeah.
you could see it from inside, like,
A boy
he was
existing with no limitation.
beaming,
Imagine.
and
Yeah.
so there was so much positive that came from that, but then, yes, you're right, when I shared it, it just was hit with so much negativity. People aren't ready to just let boys live
Be.
without the rules.
Mhm.
It makes people very uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and that's where that, I think, stems from. But more power to just continuing to double down on
To
that
do it anyway.
authenticity,
Mhm.
right? And to do it
Yeah.
anyway. Because in my own home, what I have seen is that my younger son wants to paint his nails and do skincare. My older son doesn't. And he's like,
Mm.
respectfully decline.
Yeah.
Thank you for the offer. I'd rather not. But what he is learning is an acceptance.
Yeah.
What he is learning is a flexibility in what it means to be a man and a boy
Yeah.
in his definition of masculinity, and he
Mhm.
does take that outside of the home,
Yeah.
and he does recognize that a man wearing a dress is okay.
And honestly,
Nothing to
yeah.
flinch about.
Thank you.
Keep
And
it
yeah.
moving.
Mhm.
And he does recognize that. And I've shared very openly with them about, like, when I was teaching and I had a 8th grade boy who so boldly walked in a dress. He carried
Yes.
himself with so much confidence
Yeah.
that, like, kids it was like in my homeroom, he walks in a dress, and I thought to myself, "Oh my god, today's gonna be a day, like,
Tough
where I
day,
because I'm
tough
I'm
moment.
gonna have to,
Mhm.
like,
Defense, defense,
I'm on
defense.
the
Yeah.
defense. If
Mhm.
anyone has anything to even say so much to this boy, like, I will handle it."
Yeah.
Um, no, he came in with so much confidence, and he sat down, and he was like,
Yeah.
"And?
Literally a
And?"
disruptor. And what?
And
Everyone just kind of had to just fall in line, right?
And
Like,
that's what I tell Dev because he's gotten girls in pre-K who were like, "Why do you have your nails painted? That's for
mm,
girls." So it's not
mm.
even the boys in that situation that gave him slack.
Yeah.
It was the girls.
I
And
mean,
I
because
think
who's tasked with keeping those things though? It's not the boys.
yeah,
We have to keep in line the patriarchy, the
right.
women.
And that yes, who upholds the patriarchy? It is the women.
Yeah.
And I think that where we miss the mark a little bit is not talking to our little girls about that flexibility in what it
Absolutely.
means to be a man and masculinity.
I've found myself often having to, again, like, we don't have the conversation
Mhm.
until it
Yeah.
happens. So there have been times, and we're now moving back to Brooklyn. When we
Yeah.
were here, my child is born here. Cadence is born here, but she was a baby when we left. So coming back, we're in Brooklyn. Very free spirited. We're
Sure.
you
Yes.
see the gamut of things,
Yeah.
right? So when she has seen a more feminine man,
Sure.
or just away from what her perception of what
Mhm.
male versus female or whatever should look like, she's voiced it. And I do remember having kind of that same,
Yeah.
like, oh, and then just kind of having to, well, why can't he wear a dress, or why
Right.
can't, like,
In
what
the
is that?
most basic way,
Yeah.
why can he not, right? Like,
And just
that's
leaving her
okay.
with that question,
Yeah.
I think, was important. Like, I didn't want to just let's make this a teaching
Yeah.
moment, and let's talk.
Right.
I kind of just want her to understand that it's like, hey, you've at some point,
Mhm.
whether it be from me or school or whatever, you've at some point encountered a a very hard definition of something.
Yes.
And I want you to sit with that and challenge it on your own. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Did that just disrupt your life in some way, or did you just notice something?
Yeah.
And yeah, I
It's
think that's
okay to
how
be
we're, yeah.
curious. It
Mhm.
is so okay to be curious. You're not wrong for that, but to then be able to sit with it and explore it and just be
Yeah.
exposed, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think is lacking. And so in maybe communities or neighborhoods where there isn't as much exposure, I think what parents can be doing is like stocking their library
Yep.
with the books that allow you to understand different ways, different genders
Yeah.
and norms
Yeah.
and how people operate outside of what you know to be normal.
Yeah.
And I think that like if we do that more for both boys and girls, we're making progress.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just like accessible free
Yes.
things that you could do. One thing that's always been really big with me, and even for my parents, like we travel a lot.
Yeah.
And I think travel, of course, for fun, of course, for the
Uh-huh.
pictures or whatnot, but the primary function of travel for me, and I bring cadence almost everywhere. I
Yeah.
want you to see people who are not like you,
Yeah.
who come about the world differently, who go about the world differently,
Mhm.
even. And I just think it's that exposure,
Yeah.
as you said, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like what we
It's
do out
yeah.
in this home is not always the norm.
Right.
It's not always the norm, and also should it be the norm? You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
just those challenges there. So exposure, you
And
hit
that's
the nail on the
that's the
head.
root of empathy too,
Hello.
right? Is to try to understand what it's like to be somebody else, be in their shoes.
Yeah.
And we are definitely needing to put way more focus on that and intentionality on teaching empathy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you said that you taught. You were a teacher for
Yeah.
16 years. Transparently, we saw each other last night and we
Yes.
both learned that about each other. We are
Mhm.
both former educators. So
Yeah.
you're 16. I was in the game 8 years. 8 years myself, and
Yeah.
we are you were middle school?
Mhm.
Same.
Yeah.
The toughest
Oh yeah.
time. I mean, but we survived. I feel like we more than survived. Did you love it? I loved it.
I actually did love it.
I loved
I
it. My kids
loved
are
it.
still my kids. Those are my first children.
I love when I have students come onto my pages and they'll like, "Oh my god, it's so good to see you." And
Yeah.
those are it's you really feel the impact of
Yeah.
the work that you did.
Absolutely.
Uh, and I really did enjoy teaching and I left on a high note.
Mhm.
I didn't leave because I was angry or burnt out. I think I was getting to the point of burnout. I left before I
Yeah.
burnt out, and I think that that's important.
Super important because,
It
I mean, we
was
saw what the pandemic did
mhm.
to our profession.
Yeah. It was, I really enjoyed it and I could, like, lean on the rewarding sides of it, but, like, it was draining,
Yeah.
as you know, and it took so much from me, and what I realized is I was pouring more into my students at school than I could to my boys at
Yeah.
home, and if there was an opportunity to to have another option, I
Yeah.
was gonna take it,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of educators are in that position because when I resigned, it was all of my colleagues and former and present who were like, "Get me out. What did you
What
do?
did you
How
do? How do
should
I
I
get
get
out of
on
here?
social media?" And
Yeah.
I'm like, "I mean,
If you
sure,
would like
if
to,
you would like
sure.
to, then there's an opportunity there." But they were like, "Okay, what's my next move?"
Yeah.
Whereas it was people outside of public education who were like, "Oh, we're losing another great teacher. I can't believe you're leaving," and guilting me.
Guilt, but because they're also just not recognizing and oftentimes not involved enough in their children's
Yes.
schooling to understand
Yeah.
what is happening to teachers right now, what is
Yeah.
happening to us as individuals, as humans on a basic
Mhm.
level, and the respect that we are not getting in
Yeah.
a classroom for all the work that we do. They love what we're doing with their
Yeah.
children. Love it.
They
They
love
could
it.
never replicate it almost, but it's
Yeah.
like they're not understanding,
Mhm.
hey, like every time I teach your child or I'm in this, I'm dying a little bit.
Yeah.
Like just a little bit. And I'm
And it
doing my best.
I'm depleted
Yes.
and I'm pouring from an empty cup
Yeah.
because then I'm going home and I have nothing left to give to my family.
Mhm.
I'm like laid out horizontal and my husband's just like,
Hey.
"Hey, take the evening, I guess."
Yeah.
But like now I'm not showing up for
But
my
where's your
family
partnerhood
and
in at
I don't
home?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't
Yeah.
working. And I really saw that well, I the content started growing and what I saw is an opportunity to also like take the classroom online.
Mhm.
Like I use all and you probably do too, but I use every single skill as an educator
Yep.
on my content. And it is like a it's lateral. Like you're
It's
doing the
almost
same
and I mean, I
thing.
feel like we touched on this yesterday night
Mhm.
as well. Like we were saying that I feel like people think teaching is just walking into a classroom
Yeah.
and having a loud voice. And it's not.
No.
And then again, that misconception is why people don't understand when teachers are like, "Hey, so we should be paid way more."
Yeah.
Way more
Yeah.
because what happens in a classroom is a specific set of skills.
Yes.
And again, having a degree still does not translate to those skills. Like you
No.
either it's almost a you have it or you don't
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
There are great teachers and then there are excellent teachers.
Yes.
And I feel that and there's a huge jump in between
Mhm.
that. A huge jump. And I
Huge.
think that shows in the fact that yes, I also use a lot of my teaching skills on
Mhm.
my social media, and people wouldn't recognize that unless you're
Yeah.
another teacher,
Another
like another
educator.
educator
Yeah.
knowing what is going on. I feel like you have this amazing Substack post that you made, which I've talked about it, not written about it, but it's you don't need a niche, you need a story.
Yes.
As a former English teacher, nail on the head. That is
Mhm.
what I, say all the time. People will come to me in my DMs like,
Mhm.
"Hey, what did you do?" Like, I really want to form community. I really want it. And I'm like, well,
Tell your story.
what are you giving people to stay?
Yeah.
There's a difference with people passing by, coming through. That was a pretty lipstick. That was a
Yeah.
pretty, but what are you giving
Yes.
people to stay? And as an English teacher, you stay for a
Well,
book.
and
You stay for a story.
we had the hardest audience.
Hello.
So we needed teenagers to stay and be um like to lock in
To lock in,
to
to
what we were
remember,
saying,
to question what you're saying, to
to
what?
challenge
Yeah,
it, to think deeply about it, to yeah, so to
to
relate
bring
to
to
it.
relate to it so that they can again stay, and then
Mhm.
to bring their own perspective to it.
Lots of
Because
different things, and really, like, that's what you want for your social media audience too, and
absolutely.
so we are all so much more connected than not, and when you can recognize that, then you know that whatever story you have, like, we all live with a story that has value
Yeah,
and worth and that can have meaning to another person, and
absolutely.
so if you're willing to share that, then you will be able to bring that community in and that aligned community that those are the people you want, the
Yeah.
ones who, like, you can really connect with.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, I'm so glad that you said
Yeah.
that. I mean, I really when we talked about it last night, I was like, "Oh my god, yes!" Like I think that is
Mhm.
exactly why I also just like really connect. 'Cause I could recognize that. I'm like,
Other
yeah,
teachers can.
she's walking me through something
Yeah.
here, and like, yeah,
'Cause
like,
I look at the content honestly as like a lesson plan because it's information or it's opinions or whatever it is that I'm sharing. It's usually like a mix. Like I'll
yeah,
like put in some data points and then
yeah,
like add in the what I'm doing with the boys at home or
mm-hmm,
what I've observed and then
mm-hmm,
kind of mix it all in. But like the way that I then craft it, it's like very
yeah.
methodical.
It's
It's
backwards
not
planning. It's we've
it,
come
it
in, we
is
have
it's
our
like
objective, and yeah,
and there's a hook,
yeah,
there's a
yeah. So,
there's a hook, there's a leave them with
yep.
something to think
Yeah,
about,
and then
and
there's an
yeah.
exit ticket. There, the comments are the exit ticket.
The comments are the
I
exit
want to know what you've
ticket.
taken from this, and we can discuss.
And then with
Go back.
that exit
Yeah,
ticket, I now think about my strategy
for
as
next
to
time.
what we should be digging into deeper, and literally
And people need to understand that literally is teaching.
that
The
is
work
teaching.
after the exit ticket is the actual
Mhm.
bulk of teaching, not
Yeah.
what we're doing in front of the kids. So, I mean, I love that. I love that. Like
Yeah.
we're talking about, community and keeping community. And again, you've done an amazing job of that. You're growing
Oh, thank
so
you.
rapidly, but bringing it back to that responsibility and whose
Yeah.
responsibility it is for community. I saw one of your lives with the author of Boy Mom.
Ruth Whitman, yes. What an
First of all,
honor.
I ordered the book. I'm not a I ordered
Yeah.
the book.
I love that. I love that you ordered the book.
There were so many starting from it wasn't a theory, but maybe I'll call it a theory,
Mhm.
Lego theory that
Yes.
she brought up,
Yeah.
just how I
Yeah.
did not notice
Lego,
these
yes.
like, wow, just
That
I mean, talk about it. You go ahead,
Sure.
share
Yes.
Lego.
Okay. So Lego had more sets that were more so marketed for boys,
Mhm.
and they were oftentimes like characters that were like villain versus the hero,
Yeah,
and you always had also they were like against each other. So
yeah.
there was like a rivalry, and there's always weapons, and so that was more so centered for boys.
Mhm.
Then they pivoted and they came out with this Lego and Friends. And so the Lego and Friends was then more so marketed for girls,
Yeah.
but it was bright colors and it was centered on themes of friendship and community, beauty salon,
Mm,
connection.
mm.
And so you could kind of see this stark comparison of what's being marketed to boys and what's being marketed to
Yeah,
girls.
yeah,
And Ruth Whitman talks about this in her book. And I thought it was just so interesting that, the first toys that we give to our children and the themes that they hold, the impact that that can have, and what it can also normalize for
yeah,
your kids. So for boys, what's normalized there? It's violence,
yeah.
it's competition.
Mhm.
And boys oftentimes, and I've done a lot of reading about this, and Ruth talks about it in her book, and I've now observed it with my boys as well, specifically my older son. But we don't have intentionality and focus on giving boys the skills to have deep friendships.
Ooh.
And that then you see reflected in men.
Yeah, and,
You
like, right
see
now, we have
that
male loneliness,
because they
epidemic
don't
or
have
pandemic. They
friends
don't.
to
And
lean
they
on.
also don't know how to make
And they
friends.
don't know how to support each other.
Mhm.
And something that I've seen is that, like, when men go through loss, no matter what it is, it could be a job loss, it could be any type of rejection, it can be like significant
Yep.
loss, and they are grieving. Men around them oftentimes surround them and say, "Let's go get hammered.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
I got
Let's
you.
suppress the actual
Let's
emotion.
suppress.
Let's
I'm
just
gonna help
yeah.
you suppress that
Mhm.
instead of let me sit with
Yeah.
you. Let me hold your hand."
Mhm.
Like, why are we afraid of that? There's deep homophobia within that. Like, men oftentimes don't want to, like, they have this I think feeling of like, I need to assert that I am not gay.
Yeah.
And so
I
if
am
I do
alpha at
anything,
all
I am
times. Yeah.
always alpha, even in my friendship. So I can't hug my friend
Yep.
too tightly. I can't be affectionate. I can't lean into emotions because that's homo.
Yeah. Like, forget that I actually really need
Yeah.
emotional security right now, and I can't give it to myself, and so the next person should be able to
Hmm.
forget that. The priority right now is to never appear feminine,
Yeah.
never appear homoerotic or any type of way
Yes.
in that, and it's how deeply sad is
And how
that?
devastating.
Oh
Honestly,
my
it is
gosh.
devastating. So, my husband, again,
Mhm.
kind of atypical, and he has these really great, like, beautiful friendships. And whenever he's down, whenever he's like down and out, his first call is his best friend,
Yeah.
who has supported him in every chapter of life. They've been friends since they were literally in elementary school. It's so cute.
Yeah.
And he's like, I need to hear his voice to feel better.
Oh, wow.
And I love that he says that to my sons.
Yeah.
I needed to call him to feel better because it normalizes then for the boys that it's okay to lean on friends. And then, like, the burden isn't just on women. And, like,
Absolutely.
are they, like, that burden does fall on
It
women, right?
absolutely
Like,
yeah.
that emotional burden of now I have to support my partner
Mhm.
through all of, like, he has no other
Yeah,
network,
and
no other
not only are we tasked to then
circle.
support them, but it's just like you're doing it for a man who obviously can't do it back for you.
Exactly.
He has
So
no
you
skill to
become
do it.
depleted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, she touched on another part of this, which okay, we've named the problem. We know what's going on. We
Sure.
know what it is. But something she does with her son, I think one of her sons. This is what made me buy the book. Literally, it like
Yeah.
had to leave the live, go buy the book. She said that her backwards planning of teaching her son empathy is that she makes them sit and write cards,
Yeah.
notes, or how,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, to their friends, their father, their other males or women in their life.
Yeah.
I mean, I just immediately made me think in dating,
Yeah.
in all my relationships, how often I am the one that remembers all the
Yeah.
birthdays.
Yes.
I put all our names on them.
Mhm.
I handle all the aspects
Yeah.
of keeping community and friends and family and whatever together. Where again, the men are just like, yeah, I paid for the flowers. Like
Right.
I did.
Exactly. Foot the
So
bill.
I loved that
Mhm.
perspective. And
Yeah.
you guys
I
went
mean,
on about
it's
that.
really specific skills
Hmm.
to teach, and even something as simple as, like, if my son has a birthday party, we'll sit down and we'll make what do you know about your friend? What do they like?
Yeah.
Let's write this down. What's in
Yeah.
the budget? Okay, now let's go online and let's find some things. But
Hmm.
this is collaborative. I'm going to guide you, but you're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing the work
Yeah.
here. And that's important because you're learning thoughtfulness, right? Like, you are not just randomly picking something. You're thinking about, who is my
Yep.
friend? What have they told me about
Yep.
themselves? What do they like?
Yep.
And then you're also thinking about all the other, like, logistical aspects
How do we get
of,
there? Hmm.
yeah, of purchasing
Which is the cognitive load, I
yes.
guess.
Mhm.
Yeah. So your
So,
son will grow up not expecting his wife to
yeah.
hold the entire load,
Mhm.
that invisible load that we do carry. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's just little things like that that are, I think, so doable.
So
Honestly,
doable.
like, it's not just like teaching empathy, right? Or
Yeah.
like teaching thoughtfulness, or sharing the mental load. These are all big words.
Yeah.
But how do you do it? You break it down
Yeah.
into and, like, you look for opportunities.
Yeah.
You need to look for the opportunities. When can I slow down and give my child an opportunity to, like, step up to the plate
Mhm.
and be there for his friends,
Mhm.
and also then, prioritize the friendship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I just again, like, it's exactly what you said. If we at some point could just, like, put to the side that huge boulder of, like, "I'll make my son gay," or, like, that
yeah.
homophobia, like, if we could just scoot around it for 5
Yeah.
seconds, the amount of
Mhm.
revolutionary boy moms we
Yeah.
can have overnight,
Yeah.
overnight, and it's just again, it's the reality we live in. I do feel, though, that we are advancing.
Yeah.
I do feel
I
like
have to believe that. Yeah.
but I mean, I'm seeing so many more,
Yeah.
and I feel like because you've opened that floodgate, so to say, you've stepped in, you're leading, you're reclaiming what boy mom means. I do believe that more and more
Yeah.
mothers will start to be more vocal. Not that no one was doing this prior to,
Mhm.
but just to be vocal about it to
Yeah.
combat the current loud voice right
Sure.
now of
Yes.
the complete opposite
Mhm.
of what it is that you're trying to do. And even me as a girl mom, what I'm trying
Yeah.
to match. I wanna match what
Yeah.
you're doing on my
Yeah.
on my part. So, just if
Yeah.
we can get rid of that,
Well, we're
if
very
only.
much more tapped into our kids' social and
Yeah.
emotional, well-being,
Yeah.
and that's just something that we, I think, have the privilege to do,
Mhm.
and that's why I give my parents so much grace
Mm.
because they came here as immigrants and they had a lot, to unpack,
Yeah.
and they also broke generational cycles.
Yeah.
They did. They didn't break all of
It
them,
wasn't
but
the ones that
but
we're
it is
breaking, but they broke
so
theirs.
now
Yeah.
we get to break them, and so I
Mhm.
think a lot more people are like, "I wanna see that joy in my
Yeah.
son, why would I take that from him?"
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to, like, the painting nails, like, a lot of women too are like, "That," that's where I draw the line,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Why?
Hey,
Do you have the words to explain to me why?" It's just it's
It's
not
a
for me.
feeling, right? It's more of a feeling that they
Mhm.
have that's so, like,
But,
no, like
like, as an educator, when that light bulb goes off, right, for the kid, so then I'll have, like, people come in and be like, "I watched a couple of the videos, and I just saw your son light up." And that was the moment for me where I thought to myself, "Why would I take that from
like,
anyone?"
why is
That innocent,
yeah.
just joy.
Why is my feeling that I don't even have words for so much more important than my kids' innocent
Joy.
laughter and
Yeah.
joy and existence? Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, like I said, I mean, your work is pivotal, and I just had to
Thank
talk to
you.
you. I had to touch the wonder, the glory myself. But I do want people to continue to have access to you. And I know that you have
Yeah.
several lanes that you do work
Mhm.
with other boy moms, aspiring boy moms, or
Yes.
just mothers in general,
Mhm.
women, men in general. Can you please just leave us off with
Yes.
how we can continue to do the work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So join me on socials, Instagram and TikTok, Pile for Style. And then I do have one-on-ones and group sessions
Yes.
being a boy mom, and they are so informative and therapeutic. And
Mhm.
so they're small groups where we just get to really talk about the fears, the inadequacies, and just the empowering work of
Yeah.
raising boys.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you don't have to be a boy mom to come
You really
necessarily.
don't, and also you don't have to you can be a dad as well. I had dads
Hello.
recently in, and it was actually
Actually, we're
so
begging. Dads,
enriching. Yeah,
please
dads
join.
come in.
Like
I should probably change the title of it, but being a boy mom, but
Mhm.
all are welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's amazing. Okay. I'm so glad we had this conversation,
me
really.
too.
This is
This
gonna be
was
one of my
wonderful.
favorite playbacks. Like, absolutely.
I'm
Thank you
so
so much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. See you next time. Bye, guys.